Here is the question you should be asking right now. Why? Why did your school teach you the wrong story? Why did your textbook flatten 500 distinct civilizations into one cartoon image? Why did your history class spend 3 weeks on the American Revolution and 3 paragraphs on Native American history? The answer is not comfortable. But it is simple. You cannot justify taking someone's land if you admit they had a sophisticated civilization on it. You cannot justify the boarding schools if you admit the children who were taken had a rich and complex culture worth preserving. You cannot justify the broken treaties if you admit the people who signed them were equal partners in a legal agreement between nations. The lie in your textbook was not an accident. It was a foundation. The entire structure of how Americans understand their own history requires that foundation to hold. Today you learned that it does not hold. Today you learned that what was called empty was full. What was called primitive was sophisticated. What was called past is present. What was called one people was 500 peoples. What was called a myth was a democracy that predated your own. The textbook was wrong. The truth was always here. And the people who carry it are still here too. If this reorganized something you thought you knew, please hit like right now and share this with someone who went to the same school you did. Subscribe to this channel because every week we tell the real story, the full, honest truth about Native American history and culture that the textbooks left out. And comment below, which of these facts surprised you most today? I read every single one. They did not teach you that the city of Cahokia, located in what is now southern Illinois, was at its peak in the year 1100 AD, one of the largest cities on the entire planet, larger than London at the same time. A sophisticated urban civilization with monumental architecture, a complex trade network, and a population of tens of thousands. Your textbook described North America before European contact as a wilderness. Cahokia was not a wilderness. It was a city, and your textbook pretended it did not exist. They did not teach you about the extensive road systems of the Chaco Canyon civilization in what is now New Mexico. Hundreds of miles of engineered roads connecting communities across the desert Southwest. Roads built with precision and purpose by a civilization that understood engineering and urban planning centuries before European contact. Your textbook called this land empty. It was not empty. It was full. Full of people and cities and roads and governments and languages and art and agriculture and knowledge. The emptiness was invented to justify what was done to take it. They did not teach you that the Three Sisters agricultural system, corn, beans, and squash grown together in a specific relationship that each plant supports the others, was one of the most sophisticated, sustainable agricultural systems ever developed by any civilization anywhere on Earth. Modern agricultural scientists study it today because it achieves in a natural living system what industrial agriculture tries to achieve with chemicals and machinery and still cannot fully replicate. Your textbook called Native people hunters. Many of them were farmers. Extraordinary farmers. Farmers whose knowledge of this specific land and what it could grow took thousands of years to develop. They did not teach you that Native Americans are not a historical people. They are a present people. There are over 500 federally recognized tribes in the United States today. There are approximately 7 million Native Americans living in the United States in 2026. They are doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, farmers, activists, artists, musicians, athletes, and leaders. They are your neighbors. They are your colleagues. They are running for office and winning. They are publishing books and making films and conducting scientific research. They did not disappear. They were never supposed to disappear. The textbook that put them in the past tense was lying about the past and erasing the present at the same time. Everything you learned about Native Americans in school was wrong. Not slightly wrong, not missing a few details. Wrong, deliberately, systematically. And the people who wrote your textbooks knew exactly what they were leaving out. When you think about Native Americans, what images come to mind? Teepees, feather headdresses, buffalo hunters on horseback. Maybe Thanksgiving? Maybe a war chief in a Western movie. Every single one of those images was put there, deliberately, by a school system that needed you to believe Native Americans were a simple people, a primitive people, a people of the past rather than the present. Because if you knew the real truth, the school system had a very serious problem on its hands. Here is what they did not teach you. The Iroquois Confederacy, the Haudenosaunee, had a fully functioning democratic government with a written constitution centuries before the United States existed. Benjamin Franklin studied their system of government directly. He wrote about it. He referenced it explicitly when helping design American democracy. The specific principles of separated powers, of checks and balances, of the consent of the governed, ideas that Americans are taught were invented by the Founding Fathers, were already operating in Indigenous North America when the first European ships arrived. Your textbook called it the American system of government. The Haudenosaunee called it home. They did not teach you that Native Americans were not one people. They were hundreds of distinct civilizations. Different languages, different governments, different spiritual traditions, different agricultural systems, different architectural traditions. At the time of European contact, there were over 500 distinct nations in North America alone, each one as different from the others as France is from Japan. Your textbook collapsed all of them into one image of a man on a horse with a feather in his hair. That image described almost nobody. It was a costume. It was a lie made convenient.